Hey everybody, on this episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show, we talk about the glenohumeral ligaments, we talk about wrist pain, and we talk about do barbell bent over rows put too much strain on the back. The Ask Mike Reinold Show. Helping people feel better, move better, and perform better. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show. We're here answering your questions about rehab, fitness, sports performance, anything you guys want to talk about. So keep asking away. We got a ton of great questions in queue that we're still going through, so we're super excited about it. Today, joining me, we kind of got, we'll say, the usual crowd, I guess, for now.
Back.
Today's Red Day.
I'm back.
We got some red shirts there.
Gone.
Oh, that's right. Dave Tilley is back.
I was in episodes for like 3 months.
Yeah, he's been off for a while. So we have Dave Tilley here, Lenny Macrina, right? And then, geez, I've forgotten their nicknames.
Gabe and
Evan 11.
Yes.
Evan 11 and Sir Nix-a-Lot
Yes.
are here. And we have a special request today from the Gabeinator.
Oh.
So the Gabeinator tweeted at us and had a special request that to determine which student gets to read the questions today, they have to physically arm wrestle.
Yes.
Okay? So not thumb wrestle this time, so arm wrestle. So you guys get 5 seconds to arm wrestle and see who wins.
My money is on Evan.
Wow. Are you going to take that, Nick?
Oh, no.
Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
Over the top!
Oh,
Get him!
yeah.
Over the top!
Get him!
Yeah.
Don't
Get him.
move.
Explode.
Don't dislocate!
Explode.
Don't dislocate!
Oh, no, it's a turn of events.
Don't dislocate!
All right, ding, 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 ding.
I'm waiting for like a viral video.
All right, valuable lesson learned. Don't arm wrestle off the edge of a table because you didn't have a table to hit to end the actual match.
I saw it getting worse and worse. This is hurting. Nick almost blacked out. He was
All right, Evan leads it off. All right, he's
here we
out of
go.
breath, but what's the first question, Evan?
So Matt from Jasper, Texas, he asks, why is passive shoulder external rotation sometimes more limited when the patient is at 0 degrees abduction than when the patient is at approximately 40 to 60 degrees shoulder abduction? And then he says this happens often in post-surgical patients with sling use.
Okay, so why is sometimes 0 degrees of abduction? Why is external rotation limited in that position? And I don't. He doesn't say that's like a common pattern. He just said, why could it be?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, you know, every aspect of the shoulder, like when you do external rotation at various degrees of range of motion of the arm, of like abduction, it's different portions of the capsule. So there's different structures that are being tensioned in different positions. So at 0 degrees is more superior aspect of the joint, and that's probably like the superior glenohumeral ligament, kind of the upper portions maybe of the middle glenohumeral ligament. But in that position there, and then as you kind of creep up, it's different portions. So it goes to the middle, and then finally the inferior portion of the capsule. So I mean, why is it limited at different range of motions? Well, it's like 2 different zones are tight or whatever it may be, right? So there's one. I think there's more, but what you guys want to add anything? I'm trying to think. There's probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the primary. The primary strain is superior glenohumeral ligament in that portion, and I think it's a end-feel thing too. If you look at superior glenohumeral ligament versus middle glenohumeral ligament, you're going to feel more of a firm type endpoint.
That's a tough phrase.
Which one?
Middle glenohumeral ligament.
MTHL, right?
I would say soft tissue constraints too. I mean,
Correct.
as you elevate, you're starting to pick up more slack in other soft tissue. Your lat, your teres, your subscap is starting to
Correct.
become more. So
Right.
it can be partial to it too.
Yeah.
And going back to his question, he said, "Why is he more limited at 0?" And then mentioned post-op, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's subscap too. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
subscap is, especially with these procedures where subscap's involved, like
Yeah.
even open procedures or even just going through the anterior aspect of the shoulder. Yeah, subscap involvement. So I think that's going to be part of it. And then don't forget that's the position they're sitting in all day. So they get super tight at 0 because they're stuck in internal rotation in that sling position on their stomach. So I think that's just like inherently based on that. So I think that's the easy answer. That's why I didn't start with that. I think that's the easy one.
Yeah.
The secondary one though is that it is different portions of the capsule.
Yeah.
So if you've had some specific injury to the shoulder, I think it's just a different portion of the capsule. So geez, I talk about that a bunch on my website, I'm sure. So if you kind of look on my website and search around for the glenohumeral ligaments,
Middle glenohumeral
the middle glenohumeral
And the
if you look for that, I think you you'll find some articles. I'm pretty sure I talked about that. I might have an Inner Circle webinar on that too, where we kind of go over those. But check that out.
I think
So,
another thing,
good, yeah,
just one more thing is if somebody post-op and you're doing motion at 0 degrees, I'd be very cautious with that because you're putting more stress on structures that you probably that's going to put stress on the cuff too, and that's probably another soft tissue thing. Elatrash put a study out, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, looking at strain on the anterior aspect of the cuff at 0 degrees of abduction, and showed you put a good amount of strain on the anterior aspect of the supraspinatus at 0. So I'd be cautious. And I don't even do range of motion at 0 degrees. Everybody's at 45 or 90 because you start taking stress off the shoulder. So I just a little side note on that as well.
Bonus question.
Yeah, bonus.
Bonus answer.
Bonus answer.
Perfect. Awesome. See, we like to give back here at
We're
Champion.
philanthropists.
I like that. All right, what's number 2, Evan?
Okay, number 2 is Shannon from Massachusetts. She says
She's from the entire state.
from
Great state.
She's
Worcester.
in
Oh,
She's
that's
a
why.
nomad. What'd you say?
So that's why you
Worcester?
skipped it.
I don't know how do you, is it you say Worcester?
No, see, in Massachusetts,
Worcestershire
we say everything, we say everything weird here.
Right.
It's Worcester.
Worcester.
Oh, that's
Worcester.
Worcester. I've heard people say that.
I'm a California guy.
I'm not sure how that came about, though.
Make
It's
any
not
sense.
spelled that
It
way.
should not
It does
spelled
look
that way.
like Worcester.
All right, so
Yeah.
from Worcester, Massachusetts. I like how you tried to
That's why I skipped
Well
it.
played. All right, what does Shannon
So
have?
her question is that she's a rock climber. She wants to know the difference between carpal tunnel and wrist tendonitis, and what are some tips to prevent re-injury after rest and recovery.
All right, so wrist pain in a rock climber. How can you tell if it's carpal tunnel or tendonitis? It sounds like you've been Googling stuff.
Yeah,
I like
right.
this.
WebMD.
So, that's good. So, Dave, you treat a lot of gymnasts, right? You work with gymnasts. They must have a lot of wrist things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
When somebody has wrist pain, how do you differentiate between if it's carpal tunnel or a tendonitis?
So they tend to have different kind of symptoms, I guess, is the main thing. So tendonitis issues are more focal. You can kind of point to one spot and say like it's more of like an ache or like an overuse type thing. Carpal tunnels tend to have repetitive, and they tend to start to get like some burning or some like traveling pain. It kind of like creeps into their hand a little bit, or sometimes it's different positions alleviate it. So if you are in this position, or you're in certain positions and you're like, wow, I really feel it, but you're coming out of it and it can go away completely, usually that's more neurological tension versus, a wrist tendonitis tends to be like your hand could be in a certain position. If you squeeze a muscle a certain way or provoke it, doesn't matter where you put your hand in space, it kind of always lights it up a little bit. And I would say the other one too is you can check different tests with, I guess, manual muscle testing versus like a nerve tension. So if somebody has a carpal tunnel and you can provoke it with end range, or I guess rock climber, you could be like at that end reaching position. Certain ways you put your hand could provoke it versus that's probably not going to happen in a wrist tendonitis. You're not going to get that like kind of burning sensation in the nerve stretch.
Yeah, I like how you ended it there too. It's a different type of pain too. Carpal tunnel usually a little different feeling. You know, for those that I'm sure have had a tendonitis or an epicondylitis or something, you know what that feels like. Carpal tunnel just feels different.
Yeah, and a similar bonus thing is that I've found a lot of carpal tunnels are not carpal tunnels. They're more up the road. They're kind of definitely caught up in your neck or things like that. So some people are typing at their computer and they're like, my carpal tunnel really hurts, but they change their neck position and alleviate it and it goes away. So
Yeah. Bonus number 2.
you have to have a third bonus.
What a
now
day.
Today. You have to give another one.
What a day. Totally agree though. All right, what's number 3?
All right,
That was answered so well. Let's just move on. That was
All right.
fantastic. Dave Tilley in the house.
I had two months to think about it, so I'm back.
The Tilley. Yeah. That was your first question in a while.
Okay, last question is from Brad. He wants to know.
Where's Brad
from?
It doesn't
What's-
say.
I don't trust his reading
Yeah.
style.
Brad, May 15th.
I
That's all we
believe you.
got.
Brad's from Twitter. That's why. What's Brad's
Brad's
What's
from
Brad's
May.
handle on Twitter?
At B Marlowe 42.
B Marlowe. I like it.
Very minimal.
Okay, so last question: are bent over barbell rows a good exercise, or does it have too much shear force on the spine?
Oof, that's 2 questions. So there's
Yeah.
maybe the bonus right there. Are bent over barbell rows a good exercise? I would say yes.
Yeah.
And then 2 is, do they have too much stress on the spine? Is that what he said?
Shear force.
Shear force. Wow. Okay, shear force even better. Yes and yes. The question is just what's too much.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, stress is stress. Everything's stressful, right? Like me sitting here is stressful. Me picking something off the ground is stressful. So every exercise has stress. So if we were to compare a bent over barbell row compared to, let's say, a unilateral row or even like an inverted row, I think there's differences in UMG activity that you're going to get in your paraspinals, in your lats even, and stuff like that, your core musculature. It's going to all be different between the 3. There's been some recent research in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning conditioning research that's actually shown that inverted rows have a higher amount of lat activity, and unilateral has a higher amount of oblique. Obviously, makes sense. And then bent over barbell had the highest amount of lumbar paraspinal, which is like one of those like duh comments, right? Like, yeah, this is exactly what we thought it would. So it really depends on your person here. I think bent over barbell rows are super easy to screw up.
That was my comment.
You could just do it with poor form.
Overextended.
Or more importantly, I bet a lot of people don't have the ability to get into the right form. I don't think I personally do. Hip hinge is a definite big part of it, but like my hamstrings are super tight. I'm a super tight hamstring guy. So for me to get in that, imagine the position I'm going to get into if I put my hamstrings at a completely lengthened position and try to load my back. And what we're doing is we're using a barbell, which means I can load the crap out of it, right? Like we can really get aggressive with that and really put, bilateral movement on there. So am I going to stress the back? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to stress the back and it's going to be more. But for me, it's all in that spectrum. It's very appropriate for people at the right time if you can get into that position. But heck, me with my tight hamstrings, I'm going to struggle to get there. So then my low back's going to take over. I'm probably going to be more of a posterior pelvic tilt. So again, my low back's going to be at a disadvantage. Heck, yeah. Jeez, sorry, I went off on that one.
That was good.
That was a very emotional question.
I don't think I have a bonus thing. I think the moral is there's probably maybe better things you can do. It's a little safer, maybe.
Let's not say better, though,
right?
Because that's the rehab perspective. The rehab perspective would say better. That's fantastic for you if you want to get to that point.
Right.
I think good and best is relative to your goal.
Right.
So if your goal is you need a barbell and that's part of your sport, like an Olympic weightlifter, then that's a great exercise for you. But if you're someone who's just trying to be healthy and go about, maybe we split it up and do some sort of, anti-flexion with a row or with a unilateral thing and 2 exercises to maybe make it more effective for you to get in a better position.
Yeah, and to go back to Lenny's comment too, essentially there's many regressions. There's many other things you can do and do quite well. So no, I think it's a great exercise. You just got to be the right person at the right time, I guess, which is kind of like every exercise, right? So
it depends.
Yeah, lots of bonuses on this episode. So
we should be the bonus episode.
Yeah, we'll call this the bonus episode.
Special prize and size.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Another great episode. Keep asking us questions. Go to MikeReinold.com and click on podcast, and keep asking away. We wanna keep going with this. So do that. Give us a hand and get on iTunes and give us a nice review and a rating. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.